If you're waiting for the perfect storm on when to buy a house, well, now's the time because prices are down, the sellers are more realistic. It is a buyer's market. There are more listings on the market right now than in any time in the last 2 years. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. This is Michael Hoover with the Real Estate Podcast. Today we're meeting with lender extraordinaire Eric Schroeder with Prime Lending. What is up, E-Money?
Interest rates,
Rent,
rent.
ceiling.
Everybody's complaining about something being up high, right?
Well, we're not going to complain today, are we?
No complaining, man. Things are getting better.
Yeah. So what do you mean?
Things are getting better, man. Well, in the mortgage side of things, I'd say last few months, we've seen, interest rates coming down, which is good on the market, So when I'm talking interest rates, I'm talking the mortgage rates.
Yeah.
There's a lot of confusion with, Fed rate got dropped.
Yeah.
Recently, another quarter. Interesting thing with the Fed rate, they lowered that and the mortgage rates kind of went up a little bit.
Yeah.
That's happened, I think, the last 3 times we've seen the Fed rate drop.
Yeah, what's going on? How come we can't get?
It's kind of weird.
How come we can't get the lower mortgage rates like what we all think we need? To
Yeah.
get people off the fence. There's still a lot of people on the fence, but like you said, we've seen it too in our business where people are kind of getting off the fence. It's like, well, it looks like this is where we're going to be. Instead of paying rent, when you're paying rent, you're paying 100% interest rate.
For sure.
You're paying somebody else's mortgage. So instead of paying rent, let's get off the fence and let's get back in somewhere in the high fives, and maybe it's doable. I mean, I think that's where we're going to end up being, don't you?
I do, actually, yeah. So I've got a guy just refinanced a 20-year loan. I got him at 5.375.
Okay. Well, that's good.
Yeah, the 20-year and 15-year rates are looking pretty damn good. Here's the interesting part of all this. About a month ago, we saw the 10-year Treasury, which is, that's the driving factor, of force behind mortgage rates. The 10-year Treasury dropped, it's probably 6 weeks ago. We saw it get below 4. It was sitting at about 3.8. That's pretty good sweet spot. For about a week, we saw rates really get pretty sweet. We're getting pretty excited about everything. And then we saw the Fed, they did the Powell dropped the Fed rate by a quarter, and then the next day we saw the mortgage rates kind of tinker up a little bit.
Yeah, and I don't pretend to understand finance and how all that works, but I know that the 10-year Treasury is just because it comes down, mortgage rates don't necessarily go down, and I think that's a misconception that all of us realtors have, and people
Right.
in the out there in the world too that are consumers. They say, oh, the rates are coming down. Well, the rates necessarily didn't come down all that much, but I think it's a positive for the market and moving forward, don't you?
Oh, absolutely, for sure. Yeah, I mean, we're seeing and the Fed rate, by the way, that's the rate banks are charged for money, short-term rate for money. So if you go to a bank, the bank's going to charge you a prime rate, which is typically 3% over. And I think the Fed rate now is 4%, so banking rate's going to be right at 7%.
Yeah.
So that's going to affect your construction loans, just your bank financing for loans or whatever.
Yeah, I saw a car payment ad the other day that said it was like for a truck, it was like $1,400. I was like, dang, that's a high payment. And I looked at the rate, it was 9.9% or something. It's like, aren't there better rates than that for vehicles? It's like, it's crazy.
It is crazy, man, because some car dealers I saw 0%. Some of them offer 0%.
Shorter terms have really good credit.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. But the market on a positive aspect, the worst is behind us. That's just something crazy happens, but we got to look at the positive aspect of all this. Is the mortgage rates have come down a full point, over the past year.
Yeah, and on a $300,000 loan, that's probably what $300 or $400 a month.
I would say
maybe $500.
It's a big deal.
So it's
it's a lot.
That's a car payment,
For sure.
You're needing a new car and you can't afford your house payment because rates are too high. So yeah, I think things are going to turn around. I think people are getting off the fence. People have been waiting, and prices had peaked, and then they've come down a little bit. Mm-hmm. Historically in Texas, property values go up every year, a little bit. And if you average over 10 years, it's going to go up. So the benefit of when you should buy a house in regards to rates is usually yesterday or today. Instead of waiting, because you're going to get the value of time and the equity increase in your house. So we always recommend you go ahead and buy. No matter what the rates are, you can always refinance.
Absolutely. Yeah. It always gets more expensive
Yeah,
That's the funny thing.
and your interest, on your house or your primary residence is deductible. So
That's right.
yeah, you're paying a higher rate,
Right.
but you're also riding the market up with your equity, hopefully.
For sure.
And you're going to get some market positivity out of that when the market turns around. So I think what's going to happen in 2026. I think you told me this the other day that you went to some seminar at Guru. Was talking about the best time to buy real estate is yesterday.
Right. Yeah.
Or if you can't go back, you don't have a time machine. Let's just say the best time to buy real estate is when? Right now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Don't wait.
So,
especially if you can qualify.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a perfect storm right now. Rates have dipped, prices have dipped. So if you're waiting for the perfect storm on when to buy a house, well, now's the time because prices are down, the sellers are more realistic. It is a buyer's market. There are more listings on the market right now than in any time in the last 2 years. So it is a buyer's market.
Right.
Rates have just come down a little bit. So now it's a perfect storm. What do you think is going to happen next year when everything's going gangbusters? In two ways. What do you think the housing prices are going to do mid next year when all these people that are sitting on the fence come off the fence and start?
Well, we saw it happen, 2 years ago or 3 years ago, when we saw a lot of people moving here from California and people selling their houses up here. They come here, I kid you not, there's people offering $40,000 and $50,000 over listing price. Yeah. That's what drove the values of these houses up in the first place.
Our Austin office had a house that was like $800,000 over list price back
That's
then.
amazing. Isn't that crazy?
It's crazy. Up here in the DFW area, it's more like 50 to even 100,000 over list price. So they're going to come back at some point and say, "Hey, you made us pay 50,000 more," but that was just the market back then because you had to.
That's right.
You had the one who had the most money in their pocket won during that market.
Right.
And I don't think we'll get to that again. It'd be nice. I mean, it'd be nice to have somewhere in the middle of there and where we are now.
Yeah.
I really prefer, after being an agent for 28 years, I really prefer a more balanced market. And I think a balanced market is more important for a quality agent because then you can negotiate, you can bring your negotiating skills into the transaction. It's not just how much cash does my buyer have in their pocket. They can look at this deal.
Yeah. Well, I think if there's anything from the real estate aspect of, buyers or sellers, a lot of sellers, inventory is up right now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really up. I dropped by an agent that I'm friends with in Granbury this last week, and there was like almost 800 homes listed in Hood County. And she said 90.
And there's 400 agents.
Is that right?
I don't know. Yes.
It's like probably double that.
Probably 400 agents in Granbury.
Yeah, I think the average time for those house sittings is like 90 to 120 days. Yeah, and something else that we need to have happen to break the market open is owners that are locked in to those 3% rates. I'm telling you, man, everybody refied, and they're locked in at those rates, and it's hard because a lot of people,
they don't want to move unless they get divorced or die or get relocated with their job.
Exactly.
Or maybe they're trading up to a better house and their family's growing. That's
exactly it. The trading up to the bigger house. And
they can't do it right now because
exactly
you trade up to a bigger house, you're going to increase your payment, number one, and you're going to increase your interest rate, which really increases your payment.
Yeah.
So those people in the 300 to say 500 range that want a $750,000 house, they're like, well, we're kind of stuck for a while.
Right. Yeah.
So the rates need to get a little closer back where they were. I think we're starting to get there.
For sure.
Yeah.
We'll get out of that eventually because people that need bigger houses are going to accept the fact that, that 3% rate's just, it's probably a once in a lifetime deal,
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see 1.9. Hey, let me ask you, kind of current market trends. What do you think of this new 50-year mortgage? Tell me a positive, tell me a negative.
Well, I heard it on the news the other day. I was just walking through and I just heard that was kind of brought up. And my thoughts were, I kind of shook my head and I thought about it to myself and I thought, 50-year mortgage, who wants to get on a 50-year mortgage? So I would say here, let's talk about the positives of that. A 50-year mortgage clearly is going to lower your house payment to make that house more affordable. I would say another positive is being, if you're renting a house, anything's better than 100% interest rate on renting a house, right? So you're writing the interest off on your house, 50-year mortgage. If it were me and I was just desperate to get in a house and I took a 50-year mortgage, one thing that will shock you when you look at the APR, what you will have paid in interest over 50 years.
Yeah.
It's not realistic that anyone is going to do it and stay on a 50-year loan. Most people that get in the house, either it's just like taking a higher rate. You get yourself in your house, because real estate is the best place pretty much to put your money, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's your best
For most
investment.
of us,
Yeah.
it's our largest investment.
So the idea to me is that's more or less short term. It's really not a 50-year loan, but it makes the house payment less. And maybe it's just one income you're using. In 5 or 6 years, when you've got more income, or you got a second income, you get married or whatever, I would never personally write a mortgage out for 50 years. You'll pay more than double of what that house, what you paid for it.
Well, there's one other school of thought with that is, like you mentioned, the tax deduction,
Right.
which we're getting. The second thing is, well, if your interest is more on a 50-year mortgage, front loaded like
Right.
mortgages are, well, can't you make an extra? Maybe
Absolutely.
principal payments only
Sure.
$150 a month out of a $1,500 mortgage, or $300 or $400.
Absolutely.
You can make an extra principal payment and try to knock that down. I think the goal of anybody taking that,
Yeah.
number one, is to be able to afford to get in a house.
I
And
agree.
think that's
I
why
agree
they do
with
it,
that, yeah.
because houses have gone up, construction's gone up,
Right.
land costs have gone up. So I see the positives in it. I wouldn't recommend someone staying on it for 50 years, because that amortization number at the end is huge.
No, it is. It's wild. It's, if you look back, because when I think of 50-year loan, I'm thinking probably more first-time home buyer.
Yeah.
Or you might have elderly people that may fit for. You can't discriminate on age. You can have someone at 85 go, you know what, I'm going to buy that house. I'm going to put on a 50-year loan. And that just makes that payment really small for them.
Yeah,
So-
it's all about affordability.
Absolutely. Right. Some people, they may not care about the term.
Do you think it's going to make a difference in our market and how many people finally get off the fence? I mean, people are waiting on rates, but affordability has been an issue, obviously.
It has been, right.
Do you think that's going to impact the market and have people say, okay, let's go?
When you're saying that, are you talking about a 50-year loan?
Yeah.
Do I think a 50-year loan will change the market?
Yeah.
No, I just don't. I don't know. I think buyers are smart and they look at everything, and it's just another tool in the bag.
Yeah.
Do I think that's going to make a big difference in the market? Me personally, no. I mean, I've been doing this for about 21 years. I'm pretty dang sure there was a 40-year loan
Yeah.
15 years ago, so I never did any of them. But
Yeah.
wasn't there a 40-year loan? I just want to say there was, but yeah, but it's just another.
It's just another tool.
That's right.
And I
Yeah,
think if you use it, effectively, and your consumer is educated, and today the consumer is very educated.
yeah, right. Sure.
Sometimes not with the best information, especially if they're looking at places like Zillow.
Yeah.
That information is maybe not the best, but the consumer is more educated. Somebody was asking me the other day, wow, you've been a realtor 28 years. And I said, yeah. They're like, what was it like back then? Well, let me tell you what it was like. People didn't have the internet.
Yeah.
People don't remember. There was no internet back then. There were MLS books. There were
Right.
maps and
That's right.
things.
Yeah.
We didn't have GPS
You're
on our
right.
phone. We didn't have smartphones.
Everything was fax if it worked. I mean, even before fax, I mean, yeah.
It's come a long way. And I remember way back in the day, I was taking pictures with a camera called a digital Mavic that had a 3-inch floppy disk in it. And I was giving that disc to my clients so they could see the pictures of the houses we toured that day.
That's wild.
Because there was no internet. So,
Yeah.
we only knew the pictures that was on the MLS sheet. And then we had MLS books. And anyway, the consumer back then was not educated as far as real estate goes.
Yeah.
If they would get in our
Right.
car as a realtor, and we would show them what was available.
Mm-hmm.
Or they would drive around and see the signs. 99.8% of the people in the population look online first. I don't know what the other 0.2%
Right.
are doing 1st. Yeah, so they come in to sit with an agent, and sometimes they feel like they're smarter than they are. And that's just because there's a lot of misinformation out there too. So my recommendation is always going to get a great mortgage lender that can walk you through the steps and the risks and the benefits of, say, like a 50-year mortgage.
Sure.
And then always get a smart realtor that works on your side, that knows the area and the things that are going on in the economy in the local area and the values. And you don't want to buy something and you wake up one morning, they're bulldozing the church behind you. They're putting up a Walmart
Right.
or
Yeah,
an
right.
Amazon Center or something like that. It's important to deal with professionals in the industries.
Yeah, well, and you were just kind of asking, will that affect the market? There's so many things you and I know that have affected this market. How long has this been going on? 3 years, roughly, with the rates went up. I mean, was it probably a year ago, year and a half ago, when inflation got up to what, 9%? I mean,
Well,
it's
that's
below
what they were, that's
3%.
what they were telling us.
Yeah, I mean, inflation. So the
You look at
value.
eggs, they were up 100%.
Yeah, and there's so many factors that affect not just the house, it's everything. How far does your dollar go? I think next year is going to be just really positive in the housing market. The Fed is continuing to talk about lowering the rates for the banking rate. I personally feel like if the Fed can get it down another 0.5%, we're going to see the 10-year Treasury drop below 4. Next year, I'd love to see that sitting about 3.75, and I think it's going to get there. I think once the 10-year Treasury starts dropping, there's some real positive things, coming up next year.
Well, a lot of the people that we're, talking to or seeing online, they say that 2026 and 2027 are going to be fantastic real estate years. What's your opinion?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I'm feeling positive about it. Like I said, I really feel like the worst is behind us.
Yeah.
And it's been pretty bad. I mean,
it's been pretty bad. I know some markets are like, we can't move a house.
Yeah,
some markets,
for sure. Right.
You look at markets like South Lake, Texas, where we just hired some ladies, some really great producers up there.
Right.
They're listing and selling every day. And you look at other markets like Granbury, and people are sitting on listings for a long time. And just, there's like a 65 or 70 mile difference between the two places.
For sure. Right.
And they are totally different markets.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, I agree. Yeah, South Lake areas in Fort Worth,
yeah,
for sure. But, these outside, more rural areas, populations, honestly, it seems like a lot of people are leaving the cities and moving to some of these rural places.
Yeah.
Granbury is exploding. It's just,
there's just a lot on the market.
Yeah, and new construction.
And not getting absorbed.
And spec house building has changed. That's what I'm talking about.
Tract home builders really weren't in Granbury up until 5 years ago. It was custom builders, and you and I know a lot of custom builders down there. My favorite one, your brother-in-law, Chris. But there's quality builders down there, but there are tract home builders down there now, and they're really putting a lot of inventory on the market. Yeah,
those are hard to. And by the way, those are hard to beat, the tract builders, because those houses are appraising. That's another reason the value of houses have gone up. It's not just Californians that moved out here. The tract builders, I'm not going to mention any names, but those builders can pre-buy mortgage rates.
Oh yeah.
They were pre-buying rates at like 4.99% on a 30-year fix. That's a real deal. They pre-buy those rates, and all that stuff just gets built in the price of the house.
I was talking to a banker the other day, Granbury, who does a lot of development loans and construction loans. They are literally dead in the water because these big tract homes don't use the local bank.
Exactly. Yeah.
And he's like, I don't know where they're getting their money, but they're not getting it from me. I mentioned to that guy, and I think I mentioned to you the other day, I was driving through a subdivision in Granbury, and there was a builder's house that said 2.9% interest rate. It's interesting that you brought up the appraisal. So what these builders do, instead of reducing the price to the market to get it sold, they put out there this loss leader interest rate, and they're bulk, like you said, they're buying those down in bulk. And that way they're keeping their appraisals up without reducing the price of the house.
That's right.
The builder's making less money by doing that, obviously, but their prices still stay high, and their appraisals still stay up. And that's kind of the goal of doing that. You're paying for that one way or another, which is another point, is if you are looking for a new build construction, especially with a tract home builder, get with your realtor first and get with your realtor's preferred lender first, because you need to be educated when you walk through the door, because all these tract home builders, they do have their own title companies and they have their own lenders in-house. And sometimes that's the best way to go. And sometimes it's not. You just have to compare the numbers. So always go in educated, and always go in with your realtor to a tract home builder. Because if you go into a builder's community, they're not going to reduce the price of the house 3% just because you don't have an agent.
That's right.
What they're going to do is they're going to just make 3% more money. So they have it in their budget to pay a buyer's agent. Most builders like buyer's agents being involved. And so get with your agent and get with your agent's preferred lender before you ever go into a builder's. That's my number one advice for the day.
Yeah, you know what though? That brings something up. As a buyer, especially first-time home buyers, There's probably a lot of buyers that don't even if they're second time buyers. As far as real estate fees, this question to you. So you have a buyer, you got a buyer comes up to the real estate agent. Who pays the buyer's real estate fees?
Well, that's an interesting question.
I know. That's what I'm asking you because you're the agent.
Ultimately, even if they don't write the check, who's paying for it? Ultimately.
Yeah, seller.
Well, the buyer's paying the price of the house, and the seller historically has paid the commission off of their net. Really, all along, it's always been the buyer paying it because they're paying the price of the house, right?
Absolutely. Right.
And then the seller takes that money, and then they give the buyer back some money, or the buyer's agent back commission, so it lowers the seller's net. But the buyer's paying the price of the house. So, two ways to think about it. You go in and you pay full retail for a house, whatever they're asking, and the buyer's agent, or excuse me, the seller's agent take the full amount, and they divvy up the commission between the seller's agent and the buyer's agent. The buyer still pays the full amount. Or you go in and you buy a house at a discount, and the buyer pays the commission. So they're buying the house 3% less or 6% less, but the buyer's paying the commission. The buyer's still paying the same for the house.
Are you seeing buyers pay commission?
So here's how it's working out. This whole NAR thing that's gone on.
Oh, yeah.
It's a loop. Colossal.
Right, it is. It is. Right.
The only people that benefited from that NAR lawsuit and settlement were the attorneys.
I agree.
They're the only people that are getting paid out of this deal. Matter of fact, the whole goal of this is for it to be transparent where commissions are coming from, and that they're negotiable and there's not a set fee. That's the goal. There's no set amount. We can't get together and price fix, and it's negotiable, and we can't dictate who pays for it. So it's always negotiable now. Well, we had an offer the other day come to our office, and we told the buyer's agent who was bringing us an offer on the listing we have that we're going to negotiate her commission. She's like, well, I'm never going to negotiate my commission. And I said, well, you should pick up the phone and call NAR, because that's what the settlement says you're doing. Commission is negotiable, and who pays for it is negotiable 100% now. So get used to it. You're negotiating your commission in every single deal now as a realtor. Okay? So there are a couple ways to do it. The buyer, when the buyer signs a buyer's representation agreement with the buyer's agent, they agree in there that they're going to pay the buyer's agent X percent, whatever it is you do. I'm not going to say a percent. We're not price fixing. Yeah. Let's say it's 100%. I mean, whatever the percentage is, the buyer's agreeing to pay it. So how the contracts work now is the buyer buys a house, and then we ask for a contribution from the seller towards the buyer paying their already agreed to buyer's commission. So the seller's still paying it, even the buyer's paying it, because it's still coming off the net, which the buyer is still paying because they're paying the price of the house. So it's just a huge...
And it's confusing.
It's a huge
contract.
The
wording is...
And in Texas contracts, I just don't think they did it properly, but they didn't ask me. It could have been much simpler, like, what is the commission and who's paying it?
They kind of opened up a hornet's nest and just kind of left it because it just...
And I'm sure other states have had some of the same issues, and maybe there's some states that have done the new contract better. It hasn't really benefited either the buyer or the seller at all, other than the fact that commissions are now transparent. That's probably the biggest improvement to the market, is that now we have to talk about it at the very first conversation, really, before we even show a house. We're supposed to say, hey, I know you and I just met, but you have to sign a contract with me to show you this house before I can show you the house. And whether that's for zero commission for a showing service or whether you're going to pay me a full 10%, we have to have an agreement. And that's good. And I've always taught that my agent should have buyer's representation agreements. And it would blow your mind how many agents were operating in the normal world without those. But now it just says we have to have, which that's a benefit. But for the consumer, there's really not been a benefit. And one negative thing that's done for real estate agents, especially buyer's agents, is people are negotiating the buyer's agent commission down. So now buyer's agents are actually making less overall. They're making less money. Unless they go back to their buyer and have their buyer pay the additional. So anyway, that's my soapbox on buyer agent commission and our lawsuit settlement.
And I think the whole reason...
We can talk about that for 3 hours.
Exactly. But I think also the whole reason behind all that is people buying and selling are just assumed you always paid 6%, 3% of the buyer, whatever. So.
Yeah. Well,
Anyway,
if I'm
it's just
sitting,
open
if
dialogue.
I'm sitting with the seller today, and we bring it up when we're
Yeah.
talking about our listing agreements, and I tell them, look, the buyer's agent is going to call me and say, what are you offering for buyer agent compensation? Because we can't put it in MLS anymore because it's negotiable. I'm going to encourage my seller to always pay a normal percentage because there's a lot of inventory out there right now. And there's a lot of stuff that's overpriced and there's a lot of stuff that's sitting. And that agent, I know it's not the ethical thing to do. And we're supposed to have the fiduciary duty to our client, which in this case will be the buyer. A lot of buyer's agents will not show it. If I say we're not offering commission or your buyer has to pay a commission or we'll only offer you say 1%, they're like, well, I'm not going to show your property. They're going to take them somewhere else.
Yeah, they are.
So I try to tell my sellers always offer normal buyer agent commission so we can keep people showing the properties.
Right.
Now, if they come in with a low ball thing, the commission may get negotiated, and you just need to know that your commission is negotiable now.
Yeah.
That's the sign. Yeah. So it's crazy. I know you work with a lot of buyers agents because that's where most lenders get there.
Yeah. That's right.
What are they telling you of the market right now? How's it affected them? Are they making less or more, or is it a struggle? What's going on?
Man, I gotta be honest with you. Most of the agents I work with are just listing houses and just having a hard time selling. Not a lot of buyers. I mean, at the end of the day, there's not a lot of buyers. And you made that comment earlier, that smirky comment about 400 agents in Granbury. There's a lot of realtors out there, man. So, and there's a lot of lenders. So it's just the whole market is just spread thin.
One thing that the market's done the last year, we've had a mass exodus of
You're right.
And there was a lot of lenders out there who were part-timers and second career. And you know what? To be good at this business, you really need to be this needs to be your career. Absolutely. This is a hard business to do part-time. And I just interviewed a lady the other day. She's about a $15 million producer, so she's no slouch.
Right.
And she was retired, and this was her second career. She was, I did it dual career for 2 years, and I realized very quickly I could not do that. She was doing 2 full-time jobs. And most people don't do 2 full-time jobs. They do each job half-assed.
Yeah, I agree.
So it's hard to be a realtor and do it part-time.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny you say that. I work out every day, whatever. So I've got a buddy I work out with. We were talking yesterday. He's a real estate agent in Granbury. And we were talking yesterday, and he's just been super slow for like 8 months. And yesterday he goes, Eric, he goes, man, I don't know what happened. He goes, I've got 7 contracts right now. Because he had all these listings, and it just unfolded within about a 2-week period.
Yeah.
And I said, what's interesting just about that? I said, the market is it's definitely unstable.
Yeah.
But you don't know where your next deal comes from. But it can just kind of come out of nowhere. Yeah. And you just kind of get busy and you get through things. But so I told him, I said, I've been doing this for a little over 20 years.
Yeah.
And you would think it gets easier. It doesn't. Like you said, it's a full-time job for realtors, bankers. It's just it's a constant get up.
Yeah.
Brush yourself off. You get positive and just get through the day, Sure. And it just it pays off.
Wake up, dress up, show up. That's what I always say. Right. You never know what you're going to hear. You need to hear, and you never know, like you said, where your next deal is going to come from. If you're not there to receive it, you're not there to receive it.
Right. But this stuff isn't easy.
Yeah.
It's not for the faint of heart.
It's not.
You got to be tough, man. It's a tough business.
Yeah.
Because
well, we've known each other a long time. So now you got
sure.
the business 21 or however many years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like longer than that. But.
It might have been. I just.
Anyway, we've known each other a long time. You've done a lot of deals for me and my clients, and I appreciate that. Yeah, you're always professional. You have a great team. Why don't you tell the people how they can contact you if they need some mortgage advice?
Yes. Okay. So one thing about myself, and we talk about this a lot. So the company I work for is Prime Lending. I'm commission only loan officer. I'm paid based on volume. I got to do deals to get paid, and the more I do, the better my paycheck is. The difference between myself and a company, let's just say a big bank.
Yeah.
If you go through a big bank, those loan officers are paid by the hour, and sure they get probably little commissions and stuff here and there, but it's.
Well, I tell you, the main difference is those people that are salary work for the big, let's just call them the big 3.
Yeah.
They're not hungry.
Yeah, that's exactly.
They don't answer the phone. Yeah. They don't return their emails.
Right.
Every single loan that I've ever had in the history of my career, doing this 28 years, with one of those big 3, has closed late because the lender, the loan officer's not on top of it.
Yeah.
When you say you're on commission, Eric answers his phone for sure. He gets people pre-qualified quick, 10 minutes. And you're available, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
You know, I try to encourage everybody who says, "Oh, I'm approved through ABC online, you know, mortgage company." I'm like, "No, let's go."
Yeah. Well, you asked me how people contact me. So my cell phone's with me 24/7. I'll take phone calls in the evening, weekends, anytime, just anytime. But my cell phone number is 817-602-6695. I do have an online application, which is pretty amazing. Technology is incredible now. Applications applying online. I had a guy apply last night online, and this morning I got up and application's done. He had actually uploaded everything.
Wow.
It's like crazy how easy it is when someone does that and goes through those extra steps, because he can get online. He can log in to his bank from my application. He can pull W-2s from my application. He just submitted everything. I woke up and I was like, dang, there's like 20 documents. But my website is eschroeder.primelending.com. ESCHROEDER.primelending.com.
Well, I know your process is smooth, and the people who work with you are smooth. But one of the things I love about you most is about your company is the fact that you have a flat.
Oh, flat fee.
Flat. And instead of paying a 1% origination fee on $1 million deal, which would be $10,000, what is your?
Yeah, it's $1,550. We just call it a processing fee. It's $1,550. And yeah, you're right. Jumbo loans. I do a $1.5 million jumbo loan. You charge $1,550. It's an $80,000 loan. You charge $1,550. And with that said, you know, there's some people out there probably feel comfortable just calling their bank or their credit union. You know, you probably want to, if you're talking to one of those banks, you know, you might.
They have their place. I mean, if you're going to do an interim construction loan, and stuff like
right.
that, you know, build a pool.
Sure.
You know, they definitely have their place, and you use them as a tool.
That's right.
But yeah, I think you're the best in business, and I appreciate your friendship and the fact that you're so professional and you handle people quickly. Anyway, I mean, we've been friends 20 years. We still get along, so I guess that says something.
Sometimes.
Yeah. All right, E-Money, thanks for coming in today.
Thanks for having me, man.
Hope you guys enjoy the Real Estate Podcast, and have a great day.